In today's video, we're going to talk about shots. So we're going to talk about the immunizations that I chose to get for my trip in a few days to Asia and why I chose the ones that I chose. Now, I will tell you what, planning a trip with a never end date is not for the faint of heart because my to-do list has been extremely long. And I think the only reason why I had a little bit of an advantage maybe for some people is one, because I had just come off trail from not too long from being on the Appalachian Trail for quite a few months. So I kind of already had life things wrapped up when I made that commitment. So it's been a little bit of an easier transition. However, it's also been a different type of transaction because I'm not just like going a couple hundred miles up the road into the woods. I'm going thousands of miles away on a plane to the other side of the world. But one of the things that I had on my list, obviously, was to double check and see if there was any immunizations and or vaccines that I felt that I should get before I go to Asia. When I went on and did a Google search, a site popped up called Passport Health, and I mentioned it in one of my other previous videos, where it's set up so that if you're traveling and or even have vaccines that might not be the norm that your doctor carries, it's an office where you can go and get advice on what vaccines and or immunizations are offered to you. Now, that being said, unless a certain country has a mandatory vaccine, all of the vaccines that I got were optional. So that was my choice to get those based on where I was going. On my first appointment, I went in and mentioned all of the countries that I had on my short-term bucket list over in Asia to visit. So when those were put into the computer, then it prints out a pamphlet basically that's specific to where I'm going to be traveling, what vaccines and or immunizations or boosters are recommended, what diseases, how they're caused, what the illness that it brings, blah, 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 blah. And it goes by obviously different countries that you're choosing to visit. So I wasn't just going to one country, I'm actually going to one area over in Asia. So there was many different countries, and there may even be one or two more that I sneak in there while I'm on that side of the world. So now I have my little immunization record. It reminds me of my school days when I had that. And to keep those safe, one, Passport Health Office has documentation of that. I'm going to carry this hard copy in with my passport. I also have it saved on Google Drive, and I have it saved in my computer on a folder. So, and I have a paper copy in a fire safe. If I lose this by chance and I need proof of any of the immunizations or can't remember when I had something, I have a good system of checks and balances for me to be able to get a copy of what I just had, because I went and got quite a few boosters and immunizations, vaccines for this trip over a 4-week period of time. I was there every Tuesday getting something. So let's go over the ones that I chose to get, okay? And a lot of these are specific to Asia and that area, and that's why I chose to get them. So the first one is, and I'm probably going to mutilate one or two of these, is chikungunya, which is a mosquito-borne illness. So obviously, if you get stung by a mosquito that is carrying that virus, then you're going to get sick with chikungunya. Correct me if I'm saying it wrong. So I opted to get that vaccine, and that was just a one-time shot. The second one that I decided to get was, it was a hepatitis A and B combined, which is called Twin RX. And that's an accelerated version because when I made my first appointment, I was only 4 weeks away from traveling. I needed to go with the accelerated on that in order to be able to get all 3 doses of those before I left. So on the first week, I got the first one. On the second week, I got the third one. And then on the 4th week, when I went back, I got the third one. The third vaccine or immunization that I decided to get was Japanese encephalitis. And that is another mosquito-borne illness that is primarily in Japan, in northern Thailand, up in the Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai area, and over on to the west of that area as well. So I opted to get that, and that was actually 2 shots, I believe, and that one's not cheap, FYI. I did get a polio booster. I got the tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis, the Tdap that we all get here in the States that you get about every 10 years. Mine was at the 9-year mark, so we went ahead and just did that. I decided to get immunized for typhoid, and there's 2 options for that. One is a shot, and that shot then keeps you protected for 2 years, or you can take it in pill form. So I opted to take the pill form because it protects you for 5 years. So now I'm covered for typhoid for 5 years, and that was 4 pills, and you took 1 pill on an empty stomach every other day. The typhoid pills were the only one that I had any type of, I want to say, side effect from, and that was really just headache. So on day like 1 through 6, I pretty much had a headache, and you take it every other day. So you take a pill one day, and then you don't take one the next day, and then you take a pill day 3, and then you don't on day 4, and so forth until you've gone 8 days and 4 pills. So even on the days when I didn't take a pill, I still had a headache. It just wasn't as bad. And taking ibuprofen made that better, but it didn't make it go away completely. By the time I got to day 7, it was much better. So that obviously had built up the resistance in my system. That being said, a couple things what's nice about Passport Health is there was a couple things that they're able to provide you with that you're not necessarily always able to just go to your doctor and get. And one of those was malaria tablets. So I have a prescription for malaria tablets. If I'm in an area where malaria is, I can just take those tablets to protect me. If there's not like a vaccine that they can give you and you're protected, like you need to have it. I guess it needs to probably be current in your system. But so I was able to get a 1-month supply of that if I'm in the northern areas where malaria is present. So then I will just take that if I start to feel any illness that is associated with malaria, and that is also spread by mosquito. I forgot to mention too, the typhoid, the one that I took the pills, that is primarily by having contaminated food or water. So in Asia, you do have a lot of the street foods and the food vendors, and that's one of the best things about visiting Asia. So while you want to be careful and cautious and all of that, at the same time, you also don't want to deny yourself of some of the most wonderful experiences in the world when you're traveling worldwide. And then the final thing that I got was I did get 2 prescriptions of antibiotics. And basically the nurse just told me, she said, if you start to not feel well, regardless if it's stomach, if it's, sinus infection, something like that, then she said, go ahead and just take the antibiotics. And of course, in other countries, it's very easy to get antibiotics and things like that. If you need, you just go to the pharmacist and tell them what your symptoms are, and then you walk away. It's not as easy here in the US. So even though I know that it's accessible, I just felt like it wasn't going to hurt for me to have 1 or 2 on hand if I need something in the beginning, especially if it's in the first couple days when I get there and I'm new to being in the country and how things work and all of that, then I will just have that easily accessible. And I think that's it. So, the chikungunya, the Japanese encephalitis, and the malaria, those are all things that are, you can get that are mosquito borne. So, you can put on your, bug repellent and all of that, but if you do get, a mosquito does bite you and that has that, then it's possible that you get it. We're all very familiar with hepatitis A and B in this country. We've all gotten that pretty much as a kid, and then the polio booster and the Tdap. And those are all, especially if you're going to get any type of tattoos or piercings or so forth in Asia, then you definitely want to make sure that you have your hepatitis, and a tattoo is definitely on my list. So I wanted to make sure I was protected with that. And then, of course, the typhoid with food and water contaminants, and, street food is king over there. So I wasn't going to deny myself of that. So I hope that helps give you some guidance, so if you have a Passport Health office in your area, that's fantastic because you can make an appointment with them and say, I'm going to Asia, I'm going to Iceland, I'm going here, I'm going there. Is there anything that I need? You can do a Google search first because they do charge an office visit. But if you do feel like there might be some things that you need or you can't get into your doctor or anything like that, then they certainly can help you. And one last thing, because I did forget and I didn't write it down. I don't know why I didn't write it down because I missed it. And I don't know, I didn't open up the page all the way. I was going to think about it, but I did opt to get rabies vaccine. That's another one that's not cheap. And that is 2 shots that need to be done 1 week apart. So I just got my second one last Tuesday and then got the first one the week before because they were out. There was a shortage. Rabies is on the rise. And she also did tell me a lot of times when the vet kids are going back to school, they're required to have that. So there's a shortage this time of year. So go figure. But I did opt to get rabies. If you've been in other countries before, there's lots of stray dogs, there's monkeys, there's bats, there's all of those types of things. So rabies is certainly not a bad thing to just have in your back pocket to protect you. I don't plan on going up to a bunch of dogs and potentially getting bit, but at least if something happens, then I know that I am protected for rabies as well. So I apologize that I kind of got out of sync with that, but I will tell you that I spend thousands. I could probably live in Asia for 6 months, covering my rent and food and activities for what I spent on these immunizations. I did consider at first just going over and getting it taken care of once I went into Bangkok. I'm glad I didn't wait just because of the fact that some of them I had to wait a week, and it did take a 4-week period of time to fit all of those in, but it probably would have cost me, I don't even know, significantly less because the Japanese encephalitis and the rabies alone were a couple $1,000s. So just be prepared. If you opt to get these, it's an investment for sure, but it's an investment in your health and peace of mind. And at my age, I'm not over the hill, but I certainly want to try to protect myself as best I can from getting ill when I'm overseas and solo traveling at the same time. So I hope that helps. And if you have any questions that I didn't answer, please feel free to ask them below. And I'd be curious to other people that have traveled to other parts of the world like this. I mean, did you go and get any immunizations? Did you speak with your doctor or so forth before you go and take any medications with you, as a just in case to have them on you? Or did you just say, I'm going to go and have a great time, and if something happens, I'll deal with it when I'm there? So let me know, and I hope everybody has a great day. Take care. Happy trails. Bye.